Hello everyone. So we will be waiting for a while for everyone to join in and then we can start ahead with our next session today. I hope all of you are doing well and being safe at home. Many of your schools and all must have started operating from online. So people have started joining. Hello, good evening. You can all saying a hi once you start joining. So hi and your name from where you're joining, so that we can just address everyone. Hello, good evening, everyone. So I hope yesterday and day before yesterday was a good session, and I hope we could make some reasonable difference in everyone's way of looking at food and how we can easily at home do and ensure that what food we are getting is safe or not. We can easily do that. I hope everyone had a good learning. Hi Shaurya. Hi Shakuntala. Kartike. Shubham, hello. We will wait for 5 more minutes till 5 p.m. to tick, and then we can get started with today's session. So today also we have a very interesting and an informational topic, which is very, very important, and it is something we all should be knowing about. So definitely stay tuned so that we can have a good interactive session. We would try to keep our we will try to keep question answer session a little longer today, because we got a couple of feedback yesterday that a few questions were not taken up. So we would like to take as many questions as possible which are relevant to the topic. Hello Yashashvi. Hi Sunil. Hello Yogita. Hi Jia. Any disturbance in the audio quality or the video quality, please let me know so that we can check for the same. Hello Kamalpreet. Hello Jay. We should start. It's 16:57. I think almost more than 20 people have joined in. We can wait for 1 more minute. Thank you, Shubhashri. And you can let us know if there is any quality issue in the audio or the video. We can wait for 1 more minute, I think, and then we can start ahead. Hi, Bhavneet. Hi, Aditi. So we will quickly start with what we learned in the yesterday's and the day before yesterday's session. So definitely we were talking about the food safety techniques that we need to take care, and how we can ensure that our food quality and the food that we are having is safe enough. So we dealt with two important topics, which was milk and milk products And yesterday we took up the topic for fruits and vegetables. And today, as I informed, we will be talking about something which is really interesting and something which is very, very important in this era or in the society that we are living in. I think we are good to go. So, good evening, everyone. Myself, Narita, and I'm the senior nutritionist at HappleyFit. And we are running this week-long program of food safety and to ensure food safety on account of World Food Safety Day, which was on 7th of June, that is on Sunday, 3 days back. So this week, we are dedicating entirely to deal with different food and food products and a type of food products basically, and then we are trying to learn in detail about how to buy them, how we can ensure that what we are getting is of good quality or not, how as consumers we can play a very important role to notify if there is something not right or something which is a mishap which is happening, so that we can take care of. And so this is Food Safety Day, which was on 7th of June. It is basically has been founded by it has been founded by WHO for a very important cause, which is food safety. So it is celebrated worldwide, and it is for the reason that people get aware about what food safety is and how we can ensure that we are eating and we are consuming. And because of the reason that if the food is not safe, it is not fit for consumption, it cannot be regarded as food. So it's that important. So this week-long program, we are dealing with all the food products. We will be trying to cover as many topics and as in detail as we can. Also, for all the children over here, please make sure to stay tuned till the end of the session, which is till Saturday, because we will be running a quiz, and in a day or two after that, that is on Sunday or by Monday, we will be declaring the winners, and 2 lucky winners will be winning our free merchandise as well, and along with that, free services of diet, RDA, to know their RDA and how much they are meeting for the children, and also healthy cooking and fun cooking classes that we keep on arranging. So you will be getting a free hamper for the same. So I think it's almost 5, so we can start with our session today. So today we are talking and we are discussing about preserved food or packaged food. So we will be first starting with how to check when we are going out, when we are going to the market, when we are going to the supermarket to get a certain food, or we are going to get our regular grocery. How do we check that a food is a packaged food is suitable for the consumption or not? So particularly what we will be reading or we will be learning about is label reading, how to read, how to understand if a food is fit for consumption, how do we store them, and which food is something that we should be refraining from taking and consuming in our daily diet, and how much of other food can we usually have. Then we will be also learning, when talking about preservatives, it is a very important thing to talk about home-based preservation techniques like pickling or making papads, sun drying, freezing things. All of that we will be understanding, and then we will try to take questions for a little longer today as we discuss. So we will be discussing, at least for 10 to 15 minutes today in the entire session. Halfway through the session, we'll try to take up one question answer session for 5 to 7 minutes, and similarly one at the end of the session. So let's begin with the session today. So first, I would, when talking about preserved food, or when talking about preservation technique or packaged food, what we will be talking is about reading the label, like I told you. So I'll be showing you around 4 to 5 in which I will show you how you can analyze if the food is added with a lot of preservatives or not, or how you need to understand carbohydrate, protein, fat content in them, and similarly if they are very high in fat, salt, or sugar or not, which we will come to later on. So first I will be taking a product which has so I will be taking, this is an atta which I have got here with me. So here you can all see, I'll just show you the packaging date and manufacturing date of that. So 10th May 2020 is the manufacturing date of this particular package of atta. This is a wheat flour packet. And if you all can see, there is it is written here that best before 3 months from the date of packaging. So you can see here it is mentioned very clearly. So this means that this product is fit for consumption only till 3 months and not more than that. Why? Because the preservative content of this particular product, this is a plain wheat flour which is there. So there is no additions or anything added to it. It's not prepared with something. So definitely this one can stay good only for 3 months. So the preservation or the preservatives added to this particular product is not very high. So second, we will be taking ketchup. Here again, I will show you the manufacturing and the expiry date. So here we have got the manufacturing and the expiry date. So this is, I'll read out for you, 14th March 2020 is the manufacturing date. And here, if you see at the bottom, it is mentioned 9 months from the date of packaging. That means March. So it stays good almost till the end of this year, which is like 9 months is something where this product is going to stay good. So there is a difference, there's a vast difference that you can understand. The vast difference that you can understand from what is the difference between the preservative content of the first product and the second product. First product, which was a atta flour, which was a whole wheat atta, can only stay good for 3 months, whereas this one can stay good for almost 9 months. So now I have something to show you all, which is very, very tricky. So here I have got this packaged item, which is ready to eat, ready to deep fry. So this particular product manufacturing, this was, so I'll show you. So this manufacturing was on date of packaging was 10/11 November 2018. So I'll just get it closure. So 2018, and this particular product has a shelf life, or it has an expiry date of 12 months, which means that the maximum of preservatives are added in this. So there is a very tricky story about this particular product. So as I told you, this the product was it was manufactured in 2018 November, which means after 12 months, which was 2019 November, this product has expired. Okay, so this product I have particularly got to to show you all in this lecture or this session, so that I can make you understand how big or how the amount of preservative added in this product is high. So this product, when I got from the shopkeeper, I had asked him to give me an expired product. So he had specially got it for me. So this one, definitely, I do not use them because they are very high on preservatives and not at all good for health. But for this experiment, I have got it and I have used one of the packet and just tried it, how it tastes and how it looks. So even after the expiry date, which was November, and it is almost 6 to 7 months that the expiry date has passed, the products in this particular package still remains the same. So the taste or the flavor or anything, the texture, nothing has changed as compared to what it should be if the product is expired. So I want you all to understand here that the preservative content in this particular product, or not just this product or this brand I'm talking about, any product which comes as ready to eat, they are added with a lot of preservatives, making them stay for even more than what they are claiming. So 1 year passed and 6 months passed after that. When I used it last week to check and see what is happening with it, it's still the same quality, which means it's still the same taste and still the same flavor, no difference in the texture, which means that this is something which is added with a lot of chemicals. That's why it's not getting spoiled. Microorganisms are not able to grow on them because of very nil or very less nutritional properties in them, and definitely high amount of preservatives. So what you have to take away from here is that the more the preservatives, the longer will be the shelf life. It stays longer throughout and it does not get spoiled few times like for this particular product, even after the expiry date has passed. So always try to buy something which is fresh, which have lower shelf life, which means that the product is not added with a lot of preservatives. Okay, so here when we talk about the preservatives, manufacturing and expiry date, it is important to know about other factors while reading the label, which is about your the contents or the nutritional value of a particular product. So again, I'll be taking a very favorite product of all the kids, maybe here maximum of the kids do like it, and that's, I'll not name the brand, but it's an atta noodle which is there, which is claimed to be high on fiber, which is claimed to be high on nutritional value. It is definitely a better option from the regular noodle which is there, which is a refined flour. But how better is it? We need to always understand from the label. So we will start reading the label. First of all, if I go closer, I hope it's visible to you all. So this product is around, the content is around 72.5 grams. So this is the net weight. And here I'll just read out for you all the calories that this product, only this product is, giving you is around 314 calorie. Then it's giving you a total fat of around 11 grams. So you need to understand this. So 314, I'll just talk about the calories so that it's not very tricky or very confusing for everyone to understand. Usually, if we talk about a regular human being in the age group or in the height and weight of somewhere 5'5" and a weight of around 55 to 58 kgs, they need, an adult will need somewhere around 1400 to 1500 for ladies, and for men, they will need around 1800 to 1900, depending on a lot of other factors, but to generally say that. So 314 calories is like one meal calorie. So one meal, do you anyways think that this one packet of atta noodles will suffice that much of calorie intake in terms of hunger? So you will definitely feel hungry after eating this, which means that you're ending up eating a lot more of calories than what is required, and definitely nutritionally you're not getting anything out of it. Secondly, what is very important in any packaged food is to check the sodium content. So the sodium content in this particular product, the last one, if it's visible, or I'll read out for you, for only this much of packet, it is 33% of the sodium requirement for the day, which is very, very high. So even if you are taking just one packet in a day, you are almost, with only this, you're meeting 33% of the sodium requirement of the day, which means definitely that it's pretty high. It's almost 1/3 of what you require. So if you have 3 packets of this throughout the day, you are exceeding the requirement of sodium, which is definitely very, very high. As we add a little bit of salt, 1 teaspoon of salt here and there to our food, we add it in our salad, we add it to our dal, vegetable, everything. So when you are eating just one portion of this, one packet of this, it is exceeding all of the sodium requirements by almost 1/3 of what is required for the day. Always make sure, when we come to kids as well, kids do need a lot of calories, but high salt, high fat and high sugar food, which is HFSS, which is called as, it is very harmful for the health, not only for adults, but also for kids, because kids are getting more and more prone to obesity, childhood issues, or metabolic disorders like diabetes, hypertension, cardiac issues. Even girls, females are getting like young girls who are just in their age group of 12 to 13, they are getting more and more susceptible to hormonal imbalances. And this causes a lot of effect on their future as well. Try to make a healthy decision and a cautious decision whenever you're picking up your grocery. It's very important. You would say, why I have all of this product, so I have these products particularly to show you all how is the difference. I usually do not prefer having any of this. Try to have homemade, try to use as much as you can homemade ingredients. And if not, at least even if you are using any of this should be very limited in quantity. Make sure you're taking care of that. So I think we will take few questions now. We are halfway through the session, so that we can take few questions. Children, please do stay back. We will be discussing other few topics as well. We need to discuss about preservation techniques at home, and also we need to discuss about how you should be arranging your refrigerator at home and what is the best way to arrange the refrigerator. So we will quickly take up some 5 minutes of questions, so that we can go ahead with the next half session of our today's talk. Any questions coming? Anyone? So I can see from Suresh, do expired food contain calories? Of course they do. Expired food contain everything else. Along with that, they also start having the growth of microorganisms on them, which spoils the food. But along with that, will definitely be having all the calories and everything in it. Of course, expired food also contains sodium. All of the nutrients will be there. Sodium, be it sodium, be it any other nutrients which was there, they are a part of expired food. But expired food is not fit for consumption because they can start having the growth of microorganisms on them. Any questions coming? Okay, so do mention, we are trying to say we should not have high preservative packaged food. Of course, we should not be having high preservative packaged food. Like I told you all, any of these products, whichever I showed it to you, be it the ketchup, be it the noodles packet, the atta noodles packet, or be it the ready-to-eat food, which is ready to fry, we should be refraining from adding it to our diet. This should not be a part of our daily diet. Even if you're having it, it should be very, very rare, and it should be always in a shared amount. That means you share one packet or one portion of atta noodles with your siblings or with your cousins, whoever is there. So the quantity in which you're taking the intake of sodium, trans fats, or any saturated fat, that should be definitely lesser, will be lesser. Any other questions coming? Nivrutti, my name is Narita. My name is Narita, and I'm the nutritionist, senior nutritionist here at HappleyFit. We avoid expired products. Should we also avoid best before date products after that date? Yes, Vaishali. That's a very important question. You should be avoiding most of the products they mention best before. By that, they want to mention that you can have it for a certain while after it has crossed that date of best before, but it is not advisable to consume anything after it crosses the best before date. It's similarly, see, expiry is like it's the end of the consumption. You should definitely not have it. but best before is something wherein there is still a fine line for the microorganisms to grow, but that also means, like we discussed, that there is a lot of preservative into that food. That's the reason it is not getting spoiled. Okay, so how much should be the sodium in a packet? So it depends on the portion size. It depends on how much sodium you should be having for that particular person. So usually we do not need, like we need from the salt, if we are getting, usually calculate the amount of salt for the sodium, because salt is the richest source of sodium in our diet, usually if we are not including packaged food. So throughout the day, just 5 grams of salt is required, which will give you somewhere around like required amount of sodium. But when it comes to preservative rich food, try to have some sodium which is less than 0 to 5%. 0 to 5% of the RDA. So here in this product, when I showed you, this has around 33% of sodium. So right, this has around 33% of sodium in it, and you should be opting for foods which have 0 to 5% of sodium in it. And for people who are suffering from any heart diseases or hypertension, kidney issues, they should be taking utmost care and going for sodium free, which will still have around 0 to 2% of sodium in it. Expired food will contain all the nutrients in them. The only problem with expired food is that they will start growing, or they will start having microbial activities or microorganisms starting on it. So, Dr. Shikha, we are coming to that. The second half we will be covering when we are talking about home preservation technique. So stay tuned. We'll just cover it in just 2 minutes. I think we are good to go, and we can start off with our second part of the session, so that we can finish it up and we can address to all the questions. Yes. So when talking about preservation, like we got a question as well. So when we talking about preservation, it's not always that preservation is bad. Yes, definitely packaged food, preserved food, which we are getting in a packaged way directly from the market, they are definitely bad and should be used as rarely and as infrequently as possible. Try to not use them in your diet regularly. But when talking about preservation, we Indians use pickling techniques as a very well-known technique to preserve food, right? So this was we were just across summer, so curry, that is raw mangoes or lemons come in the before the rainy season. So these are some common ingredients which are pickled at Indian households. So though pickling always uses a lot of salt or sugar and oil in it, so definitely it's not something which should be a regular intake in your diet. Or also, if you're having it, the quantity in which you're having it is very, very important. Should not cross, or you should not have more than half to 1 teaspoon of any homemade pickle throughout the day, because of the high salt, high fat, and high sugar content. Because sometimes there are jams and jellies also made, murabba also made at home, which stays for very long, but the sugar content in them is very, very high. So make sure the quantity in which you're consuming it is very less. Pickling is a very age-old technique for us, wherein we pickle foods which are available for a particular period or particular season only in a year's time, and we want to consume it for the rest of the year as well. Pickling also, to certain extent, reduce few nutritional properties, like any of the water soluble vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin B, usually do not remain for longer. If you're making a pickle of avla, if you're making a pickle of lemon, They are high on vitamin C if you're having them fresh, but once they are pickled, once they are sun-dried, they are kept under the sun in the glass jar to pickle it, they lose most of the water content, and that's when their vitamin C content also reduces. They do have certain effect on the nutritional quality, but pickling is something which we can definitely follow to keep few foods, to relish few foods throughout the year as well, but in a limited amount is very important. Nowadays sun drying technique is also getting very famous. People do try to sun dry tomatoes or maybe anjeer figs coming in this season. They do nutritionally have properties. Definitely, sun-dried tomatoes are rich in vitamins and minerals. But again, vitamin C is lost when they are dried in the sun. Sun drying is a process where the moisture content of the food is reduced. That's what make it preserve. Like it will definitely stay longer. The shelf life increases without adding anything separately because the moisture content has been reduced out of it. And as we discussed in our yesterday's and day before yesterday's session, that microorganisms need a proper moisture for them to start growing in them. So if we reduce the moisture content of any food, definitely the microbial spoilage will be less. So sun drying is such a technique. Tomatoes, anjeer, other such fruits and vegetables are usually sun dried. Potatoes and all are also sun dried. But nutritionally, again, vitamin C, vitamin B complex usually do not retain in them if you are using them. There is also frozen technique which is used, right? So many people do use frozen peas or hare matar, which are frozen at home as well. We do get it from outside. Prefer making it at home if you prefer to have them throughout the season, because frozen matar again or frozen peas, when we are getting it from outside, it do have a lot of salt and sodium in it. If you're making it at home, you can directly boil, cool it, and boil or blanch it, and then you can cool it and freeze it in the freezer. It stays for long. It stays for almost around 4 to 5 months or more than that. But again, few nutrients will definitely be lesser as compared to what you can have in a fresh fruits and vegetables. Preserving, not just pickling of fruits and vegetables, coastal line people, that is people from Goa or maybe Kerala or any such places which was Mumbai as well, the Koli community, they usually try to preserve foods like fish or chicken or prawns as well, which they try to preserve and they keep it longer. So pickling is something which is a very traditional technique and can be definitely used. So yeah, so I think we are good for the preservation. We will be taking up the questions again in the second half, and let's try to move on to our next session, next part of our session, which is about storage in the refrigerator. So I'll be showing you all a layout of a refrigerator, which I have got here with myself. So here, just get it closer. So this is open fridge which I have, and here there is a closed fridge which I have here. So just to tell you all, we have to be very conscious when we are storing food in the refrigerator. So we wanted to cover this topic because it is a very common source of contamination. We think that when we are keeping anything in the refrigerator, we did not have to worry about their quality because it is in the refrigerator and it's not going to get spoiled, but that is not the case. There are few tips and tricks which you need to make and keep in your mind whenever you're storing things and foods in your refrigerator. So first, when we talk about, this is your freezer of the fridge, this one. So here we will be keeping, the freezer usually will have anything which requires lesser temperature. So can anyone tell me how what is the temperature in the freezer? Does anyone know what is the temperature usually in the freezer? We will be taking the questions at the end. You can please try to stay tuned. We will be taking. Is there any issue with the audio or video? I can hear. The freezer temperature is so the freezer is somewhere where you need to, this is a minus temperature which is usually there in the freezer, and in the freezer you need to keep your you need to keep anything which you will be trying to freeze, like ice creams, ice if you're storing in the ice, that you need to keep it, and any meat and poultry or chicken, anything like that, that will also be kept in the freezer. So make sure that you are not keeping anything else which do not need, like below, like which do not need freezing. So try to not keep them in the freezer section. So when we come to the normal, like when we come to your the this one, like the fridge section of your refrigerator, there are certain racks which are there, right? So if you see closely, there is this 1, 2, and 3 rack here, and there is this bottom shelf which is there. So first and second rack is always, because it maintains the coolest of the temperature, it should always be used to keep cooked vegetables or cooked leftover foods, that should be kept there. Milk and milk products you can always keep in the second rack, as we discussed yesterday and day before yesterday. That is where you should be keeping them. If you are keeping any kind of leftover, like leftover rice, leftover atta, dough, that all should go in your first and second rack. But again, when we are talking about the third and the fourth rack, there you can keep your raw vegetables, raw fruits. Try to keep raw vegetables and fruits always in the bottommost container which is there. You need to there you need to keep your raw fruits and vegetables, because they do not need very cold temperature to stay. When we are talking about, right, it's 0 degrees Celsius. It is minus 8. It should be in minus, and below 0 degrees should be the fridge temperature, correct? So here, this is the door of the fridge. So here as well, you will see in your refrigerator, there are shelves made in the door. What do we keep in there? We have to keep spices, condiments, if you are keeping anything like that, if you're keeping any sauce, dips or anything, that you keep there. Cold drinks, if you are keeping, of course, you should be having as less as possible of them. But these are the things that you should be keeping at the refrigerator door. There is also a section for egg tray, which is usually given by the companies itself, refrigerator companies. There you can keep the eggs. But in summers, you can actually prefer to keep the eggs inside, because here the door of the refrigerator, usually because we keep opening and closing it, usually there is a lot of temperature difference that happen in the refrigerator door. So it's important that you do not keep anything which might get spoiled if there is a constant change in the temperature. Only things which do not get spoiled for longer period, like as we discussed, sauce, ketchup, dips and all, they have a lot of preservatives. They do not get spoiled very soon, so we can keep them at the door, refrigerator door. Make sure that you're never keeping raw and cooked food together, because if that is kept together, there can be a lot of cross contamination that can happen, and it can spoil your cooked food. So try to always keep a difference in the sections of where you're keeping raw and cooked food. So I think we can take up the second session. We can take up the second section for the question and answer, and then post that we will be playing a game for everyone here. Okay, so questions, anyone? We can take up questions. So I think there was one question someone was asking, Kavita Chopra. Take at the end. Kavita, some light sweetie for children having tooth problem. We are good for questions. We can start questions coming in. And please refer some light sweet for children having tooth problem. Okay, so light sweet for children having tooth problems. See, it's children who have tooth issues specifically that happens because of unhygienic techniques and a use of a lot of chocolates or sticky items. Try to definitely refrain from giving them anything which is very sweet, because sweet, obviously anything which has sugar gets the microorganisms start growing on them very quickly. So it's very important that you do not give actually your kids any sweet. But even if you're giving, always restrict your kids from having anything which is sticky, like chocolate or chicky or anything which sticks in the teeth, in the cavities of the teeth. So that again increase the microbial activities and the tooth can get even more spoiled. It's very important to have hygienic practices for the kids so that they do not have bad teeth. Washing the mouth is something which is very important. She wants to know the sweet, but she wants to know about someone who is having tooth problem. So tooth problem is something which will happen because of unhygienic techniques. So it can definitely be with these items, like avoid giving anything which sticks to your child's teeth. I think someone asked a question about salt. There was a question about salt, which, yes, so preserving food with salt, right? Yeah. So can we use salt to preserve food? Like we discussed in the session, we can use salt to preserve food, but definitely when we are preserving food with salt, we are adding a lot and lot of salt, which definitely makes it high in sodium. So as we discussed how bad it is to add food which is high in fat, sodium or sugar, it should be definitely consumed in less amount. Even if you are using something, some food products, you're preserving it with salt, make sure you're not adding it to your diet very frequently. Okay. Can we store boiled eggs in the refrigerator? Okay. Yeah, you can store boiled eggs in the refrigerator. You can deskin the eggs and then you can store it, but not for long. You can just store it for about a day. Maybe overnight. If you're making it today night, you can consume it by tomorrow, because the skin, it starts getting oxidizing and you will see the yolk turns black because the yolk had started to get oxidized. So avoid keeping it for longer, but you can still store it for a little while. Seema, we can put boiled milk in the fridge. I think we covered this in the first day itself. So you have to make sure that the milk gets to room temperature and then it is stored in the fridge. It should not be it should not be directly stored when it is hot, because of the temperature difference. The microorganisms can start growing on it. Okay, so please take my question. Why do atta sometimes cause fungi in the refrigerator? Are you talking about like a raw atta or a atta dough? So if you're talking about a raw atta, it can go bad or it can start growing fungus on it. If there is any water that goes into the atta flour, and if you're relating to atta dough, then definitely atta dough will have a shelf life. We are not adding any preservatives, we are adding moisture, which is something where the microorganisms can grow, as we spoke about already. It's not just that we can keep something in the refrigerator and forget about it. It's very important to take care that we are using anything in the fridge with which is called as first in first out basis. The moment it goes in, there should be a time limit by which it should be taken out. If you're keeping your atta dough for a very long period in the refrigerator as well, it is bound to get bad and spoiled. Why do we usually keep pickle in glass jar? Okay, Hema, we do keep pickle in glass jar or bone china jars because they are inert in nature. Inert as in, if you are keeping it in a steel or an aluminium or any metal, they will definitely react with the oil or the salt or the acid which starts forming in the pickle. So pickle is something which gets fermented over a time. So fermented products can never be kept in anything metal because it will start reacting and it will definitely spoil your food, and will also make it harmful because the chemical remnants can go into your food. We have to always pickle in something which is a inert material. Inert as in they do not react. Darshana Chinskade, yeah, kindly can you post your question again? Nilu, preserved food definitely loses the nutrients. As we covered it earlier, few vitamins and minerals are definitely lost in the preserved food. Vaishali, we should be using anything that we keep in the fridge by 1 or maximum 2 days, not more than that. Atta, if you're keeping for 2 to 3 days, it will definitely go black in color because of the oxidization that happens. And also the taste differs, the nutritional properties go down because of long preservation. But you can definitely make it in the morning, keep it in the fridge and use it by evening. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. For the freezer, you have to store something. For the freezer, you have to store something which requires a freezing temperature, which means ice creams, ice, or you can store raw meat, poultry, chicken, and all. What's the best way of preservation? See, at home, if you are trying to preserve for longer time, it is always with salt or sugar or oil, which we need to use. But again, like we discussed, the quantity should be very limited. If you're preserving something for a small period of time, then you can directly freeze it. Frozen things can also remain well, like frozen beans, frozen. You can do frozen French beans as well, frozen foods as well. But everything has nutritionally certain difference in the quality. Definitely, that happens. Kavita Chopra, I am not able to find your question. Can you please post your question? What is sodium? Okay, Dr. Shikha, sodium is a compound, it's a mineral that is a part of our diet. It's a mineral which is very widely available in anything like salt. It is there in most of the food products. It's basically a mineral which is found in food. But it's extensively found in any of these products, any of the packaged products, because of the use of high salt in them. Packed milk. What about packed milk? I think we will go ahead with the session for the game session for the kids. So I would like to, ask you all about certain foods and where we should be keeping the food in the refrigerator. So first, I will be taking So first I will be taking this. This is an egg. Can someone tell me where do we need to keep the egg in the refrigerator? I need to know the question, please. Ma'am, your opinions about packet milk. Okay, so packet milk is, see, we already discussed in detail about packet milk on our first session. It is not that we cannot say that packet milk is very bad and we should be only going for milkman's milk. It is equally susceptible to any kind of adulteration. We need to check for the adulteration techniques if the milk that we are consuming is good or not. Please try to check our video for the first day. For yesterday, we had covered the adulteration technique in the first half of the video. You will be able to understand how to check if the milk is good or not. We cannot directly comment if packet milk is bad and milkman's milk is good or not. Okay, in egg tray, correct. In egg tray, we need to keep this. And where will be the egg tray? In the refrigerator. Door box, right. Egg tray will either go on the door, or for the summers when the temperature outside is very hot, you can keep it in the middle section or the rack, second or first rack of the fridge, so that you're not hampering the temperature of the egg. So now next I have this fruit here with me, which is a watermelon. Where do we keep a watermelon? Seema, can you please post your question, because it's difficult to go back and check the questions and I'm not able to see your question. Kindly post it back so that I can answer your question. Right, we are done with eggs. So can someone tell me where do we need to store this, the watermelon? In which rack of the refrigerator will that go in? Yes, in fridge itself, bottom. Right, the bottom up. No, so the watermelon goes in the bottom rack, either the third rack, or because it's a cut watermelon, you can keep it in the third rack, or you can keep it in the tray which is particularly provided for raw fruits and vegetables. It will not go in the freezer, Mukesh. So next is about this one. I have an ice cream here. Where does this go? Correct, in fruit basket in third or fourth rack, right? So where does the ice cream go? Freezer, right. So I think that's the most common answer, and people are quite clear about it. So great. Ice cream should be going in the freezer. Then I have a tomato with me. Where can the tomato go? Where can we keep the tomato? Can someone tell me where can we keep the tomato? Bottom box, right. It should again go in the lowermost box or the compartment specifically provided for fruits and veggies. This is the last item that I have for you all to check. So this is a butter. If it's not available, if it's not visible, I can tell you this is a butter. Where does the butter go? Where can we keep the butter? Right, freezer for ice cream, right. Where does the butter go? Where do we keep the butter? Butter, we don't need to really keep it in the frozen section once we are using it. If you're storing it for long, if you see in any shops, they do keep it in freezer. But when we are using it regularly, we can always keep it in the milk and milk products section, which is the first or the second rack of the refrigerator. Try avoiding it on the fridge door because of the same that we will be closing and frequently opening and closing the fridge, which might like unregulate or which might hamper the temperature at the door. I think we are good for today. So any more questions, if anyone want to take, we can just have 1 minute and we can wrap up the session for today. We are running out of time already. So I'll quickly conclude on what we discussed today. First important thing that we discussed is checking the food label. Why it's very important to check the food label, manufacturing date, FSSAI license, and other such factors when we are getting any packaged food. Secondly, it's very, very important to check the sodium content, high salt, high fat, or sugar. If it has any of it, try to refrain and try to add it very rarely to your diet. Then we also talked about why it is like how and why we should be having anything which is preserved in less amount. Try not to have it as a regular intake for you, but pickling or making jams or jellies or murabbas or sun drying or freezing something is something which is common techniques, but must be used rarely in the cooking practices because they do hamper the nutritional quality. And then we understood about how we need to arrange our fridge, which is very important, so that we are not making any cross contamination to happen. So I think we are good for today. And I just got a question, can we store eggs in room temperature as well? Yeah, you can. So if it's not summer, you can definitely keep your eggs, keep the eggs in the room temperature. But if it's summer or if it's quite hot, do keep it preferably in the freezer. I think we are good for today. Anupreet, I'm still not able to see your question. Kindly, if you post it, you can also comment later on. We will be able to answer it. Okay, ma'am, does coffee contain sodium? Yes, coffee also contains a bit of sodium. If it's a filter coffee, then it will not really have a lot of sodium in it. But if it's a like instant coffee, which we usually use it at home, it does have a little bit of sodium for the very reason that it should stay good for longer. But it's not very high on sodium. That is definitely. I think we are good for today. Taken up Anupreet's question. And we will wrap up today's session. I hope it was an informative session for you all. And we can come back. And tomorrow we will be having again an interesting topic and we will be discussing about it. And please like and share and subscribe to the channel as well. And let us know if you have any questions, queries, even more, we can address them. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.